Oh man, how do I explain this? Okay. So, say we have Amari, right? And Amari is a 6'6 sophomore coming out of his second high school season. He's a super raw talent looking to get some looks from colleges. Now, since he's not in season for his high school, the best way to do that is through AAU. So, Amari takes his time, looks over a couple of the really big programs, and he chooses one in his area. And he kind of starts practice with them, gets acclimated, and he finds out that he's going to be playing the big man for them, and they're going to have 3 practices a week as well as probably 5 to 6 games on the weekends depending on how much they win. And the program, having as many connections and being as important as it is, goes from about April through July, and then when he's done with that, he can pick back up with his high school team. Now, think about just exactly what the schedule of this would be, right? We have Amari taking probably a day to travel to these really big time tournaments and playing 5 or 6 games on the weekends. Now, obviously, he has to travel back, but his body is sore. It needs time to recover from those really hard, taxing games. So, let's say he takes Monday and Tuesday to recover. Then, instead of lifting weights or getting in the gym, he spends the next 3 days practicing with his team to prepare for the next tournament. In the games, Amari finishes some nice passes from his guards, gets some really nice dunks for his highlight reel, and overall gets a lot of different resume points for colleges. So I guess the question would be, what's the problem with that? And to answer that, we have to think about the way that basketball has evolved the past couple years. Now in college, big men in really any position is expected to be able to shoot. They're expected to be able to handle the ball to at least some extent depending on where they play and what coach they play for. And they're also expected to use certain skills that every player has now. So a coach gets interested in Amari and watches him play, and the first thing he thinks to himself is, he's got a lot of promise, but he needs to get in the gym and work on his game. He follows him for the next year or so of school, and then when he gets to the next AAU season, what has he developed? You see, on top of the really taxing tournaments on your body, the amount of practice time he has to go to, and just the fact that he needs to be a kid, Amari never got the chance to get in the gym and work on his jump shot, to figure out his post game, to really control his niche as a player, especially going to the higher level of basketball. He's a raw talent. He's very potent against younger kids because he's ahead of them athletically and genetically, but once he gets to those guys that are the same way, he can't keep up because he doesn't have the skills. So now Amari's a senior. He just finished his final year. He has an interest from a couple of colleges, and he makes his pick. So then he goes to the first day of practice, and all the other big men can handle the ball. They can use dribble crossovers. They can do pull-ups in the lane. And then he's thrown into the fire with these guys, and he can't keep up because of all those weekends he spent polishing his dunks, polishing his athleticism, and getting IQ, but he can't do a simple practice drill nearly as well as these guys. He's also weak and likely injury prone from the ridiculous amount of basketball he's already played, so the coach can't even trust to play him a lot of time in a game. So then we get to the start of his first college season, and he's riding the bench. And why is that? Because he never got in the gym to work on his offhand, to work on his dribble moves, to really develop a three-point shot. He's just that raw talent that never realized his full potential that ended up being a disappointment. And this is the kind of stuff I really want to talk about here in the Crafty Academy, because these things need to be brought to light and they need to be understood by younger players. And if you're a high school player watching this right now, I want you to realize that what I'm saying might sound crazy. It might sound like a 1 in a million scenario, but it's not. Here's pretty much what happens, and this is also a consequence of the social media age. A really naturally talented or athletic basketball player joins these AAU programs, and these tapes get brought out, and they become just as popular as the guys who make money to do it. They see all these people recognizing how great they already are and that they're going to be an amazing player, and then they feel like they don't have to get better. They feel like they don't have to get in the gym to work on the things they don't have. These players grow up without the attitude of, oh, let's get in the gym every day and harp on our weaknesses. Let's get in the gym every day and make myself better than the guy in front of me. It's so much harder to outwork other high school players because you're all playing AAU at the same time. You're not getting better. You're not finding ways to innovate your game. You're just playing the same way. And I could talk for days about the fact that this is also making players way more prone to injury. It's also making them so much more taxed and needing to do physical therapy that they're not interested in. And you might say, well, Jackson, what about the guys in the NBA? They can do everything. everything, and that's true. But if you look at guys like Damian Lillard, he didn't play for a really crazy AAU program. He didn't, get all these mixtapes thrown out saying that he was going to be the next LeBron James. He was in the gym with the cameras off working on his game, and the very rare footage of him actually doing a workout is stunning. Guys like James Harden, guys like Steph Curry, these guys all outworked their expectations, and that's why they're so great now, because there was no, oh, let me just get popular, let me just make a little bit of money. They wanted to be great. They got in the gym and they became great. The stuff that they do is what the best players in the world do, and that's get a bucket. I think LeBron, actually, as great as he is a great example of this. He was essentially a product of the AAU era before the AAU era. He had so many videos of him in high school, people hyping him up, oh, he's the next Michael Jordan. And then by the time he got into the league, even though he was great, he didn't have a lot of the things that you see LeBron doing in his 2016 playoff run, in his 2018 playoff run. And I think it's worth mentioning that LeBron is such a physical specimen, such an outlier of what the actual expectations are for a player, that he was able to get lucky because he physically outmatched the guys in the NBA. So for guys that are athletic for high school players but not for the college or NBA, they grow up spoiled thinking that they're going to be that good, and by the time they get to that point, a cold hard slap hits them in the face because they didn't spend all that time they should have working on their game. So why do I think that AAU basketball is the worst thing to happen to youth sports? Well, it's simple. It's killing hard work. It's killing the guys that really, really study this game. Why are there so many college players now that can't hit a mid-range pull-up, that can't do a three-pointer, that can't even do a simple hook shot in the paint? It's crazy because we're watching arguably the most skilled era in the NBA ever. If you look at the guys that, do this on a nightly basis, they're absolutely incredible. Yet we still have some of the best players that can't do easy things. Like, look at Ben Simmons. There's no willingness to shoot. He has no wiggle to his dribble moves, and there's no willingness to change it because he grew up spending his whole life thinking that that was okay. And it's a shame. It's a shame because we have guys that go into the spring not thinking about what they can do to be better for their high school team next season. They're thinking about which team they should play for and how many college looks they can get. Yeah, I think it's interesting because the guys that put in the most work are always the guys that end up making it. If you look at a young guy like Jason Tatum or Donovan Mitchell, they didn't play for a big AAU program that got them all this popularity. They just got in the gym. They studied guys like Kobe. They studied guys like Mike, and look at how great they are at what they do. And then take a look at Zion Williamson. He's a physical specimen as well, yet he never spent the time to get these skills that he should have by now, and it has hurt him. Whether the media wants you to know it or not, Zion is not fully realizing his potential, and it'll be interesting to see if he can, yet I feel bad because AAU is the product of that. I'm not devaluing the merit of playing more basketball because I think that's how you become a smarter player, work on your IQ, and really realize how good you can be in terms of what you can already do. But for the raw talents that get popular based off their potential alone, they should be spending time in the gym working on their game instead of learning plays and philosophies from a coach they're only going to play for 5 months. And it's turned basketball into this popularity contest where guys just want to be featured on these sites and they want to have videos made for them. And it's a culture now. AAU basketball in this street ball style is a culture. There's so much less humbleness to it now. It's all, well, look at me, look at what I can do, instead of just staying quiet and taking the summer to become a completely different beast, and then the next season you've changed. Now we got kids thinking that all they have to do is work with a trainer once or twice a week and then they can just play AAU and they'll make it to the league, when that's not the case. I don't know, man. I don't think I have much more to say than that, honestly. I'm Jackson. This is the Crafty Academy. I like talking about real basketball, real skills, and what it takes to be a great player. If you liked what I had to say today, I'd love if you could recommend a topic for me to speak on or a video of a certain skill you'd like to learn. I'm going to do a lot of on-court videos. First off, please subscribe. And then on the way down, why don't you leave me a comment, tell me your thoughts on AAU basketball and how you think it's affecting the current landscape of youth development. Thanks for stopping by to talk hoops with me. I sure hope that you'll join me next time. And again, leave me a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Peace, love, and faith.